anise seeds.
Yeah. So just whatever you use.
Roast until
don't
you
use
can smell.
self-rising. I always use them. You know, we really ought to do a
Creaming the sugar.
Yeah, because
And the
Katie
butter.
and Kimberly and a couple of, so this is the extract, either the anise if you're doing anise or a lemon extract, and then the anise seeds. So if you were doing lemon, you'd put the
And
lemon
the butter and the sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. Eggs one at a time.
Rated.
This is eggs one at a time.
Yep.
Note the consistency. This is all the eggs, and it is starting to get a little fluffier.
super great, but I'm pretty sloppy.
So you put like a quarter cup at a time in, sort of, and you'll get the idea of how much. Again, you wait for it to kind of be incorporated, but if the dough is, you want to make sure the sides are getting incorporated before you add more.
And the beater seems to be a key.
Yeah, it really helps it. If you watch the side, you'll notice if the dough has been incorporated or not. The flour, I mean. So this is 3.
I like to see how toasted.
Okay? Thank you. Right, now go ahead.
So we're in about the 4th cup. The motor's starting to strain. You can kind of hear it working.
Yep.
And it's not truly scraping the sides of the side of the dough anymore. So I'm going to turn it off and we're going to change over to the
dough
hook.
hook.
Yeah. So we do taste the batter. I like to know how.
We're not afraid of raw eggs.
But I like to know how much flavor is in the batter at this point.
It's
okay.
and it's like you say, it's especially important with things that you don't know exactly how flavorful it's going to be.
Like your lemons can
and
vary,
limes.
and so this is a good time to change or add, because they are going to get muted. You got 2 more cups of flour approximately to put in there, so it could get more muted. So if it doesn't taste very lemony or very anisey now, you got to boost it. So in this machine, you can run a higher motor when you've got the paddle in there, the dough hook rather than the other paddle, if that makes sense. It all depends on how your machine runs it too. And I'm trying to get like between those two. If it's too fast, it's going to kick it back up again. Sometimes you could just use a soup spoon to put a small amount in. It depends on your comfort level and how the machine's working.
What Cathy just said is you can see after each cup the dough
It starts to change, yeah. It's stringer, you can see it's stringy kind of.
We're at about 4 cups.
This is the beginning of the 5th cup. You know, as you put, it's getting stiffer and stiffer. So after the 4th cup, the dough takes longer to incorporate additional flour. But you can watch, you can see pockets of flour stringing through the dough.
Okay.
It's getting close because the dough is sticking onto the hook better. Yeah. So this recipe says 5.5 to 6 cups. At 5, you start adding smaller amounts until the dough gets the right consistency. So it can go from 5 to 7 sometimes, depending on how your dough acts. I check with my finger. If my finger is sticking to the dough, it's not ready yet.
And what are you at as far as?
This is the end of 5, so we're beginning 6.
Okay.
Processor won't work because it's not geared for it, right? It'll just burn up the motor, right?
Did you see how that came off my finger? It's
Oh, yeah.
pretty close. It's still a little sticky, but it's almost workable.
Also are a little humid.
It's starting to pull away from the side of the bowl, and that's usually a good sign you're close. But it is still, I mean, it's still sticking a little bit to the side of your
And what are you
spatula.
at for flour at
This
this
is
point?
about 6.5 cups. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the nuts now, because that'll change the texture too.
And your eggs, the size of the eggs can greatly influence how much moisture is in your dough. So if you're using large eggs, it'll be a large amount of flour. Okay,
So it's still sticky. We put the almonds in, they're pretty well mixed together, but this is still too sticky to work.
it is really sticky.
So we're gonna put a little bit more flour in.
Oh, you already put in the almonds, huh?
Yeah.
But it's delicious.
Where'd you? Go ahead.
Oh, I always end up making not enough loaves, and so my biscotti are always quite big. So Cathy does 6 loaves, and hers are just the right size for my preference. So the recipe just says about a 1/2 inch wide and as long as the cookie sheet. So where did I get mine? I think I got mine at Cash and Carry.
And where else did you say I could find one?
I would try sur la table at Pike Place Market.
So I took a piece of dough out and it's not sticking to my hand, so that you know it's a good consistency. So it's time to move on to the next step. If I can get it out of my bowl.
Cathy just said this is the hard part, getting it out of the bowl.
So I just,
You don't break your spatula at this point.
yeah, you don't want to use your spatch, you'll break it. Yeah, I usually use it to put the flour that I made on the mess on the counter. I scrape it, use a bench scraper and scrape it into that. So I just try to shape it into a decent mound. And I use a bench scraper and I cut it in half. And then I try to make this so that we're going to cut this in thirds. And you want them about the same size. They don't always come out perfect. And you don't need a lot of flour because you don't want to dry out your outside of the dough. And you should be able just to roll it easily just with your fingers. And I just gently press. And I don't know how to tell you how big that is. But
Maybe we can measure that.
yeah. I don't know what they should look like.
Well, that looks like what was described, a 1/2 inch wide, and they're a little shorter than what
Yeah.
directions said, but hey,
The main thing is that all 3 of these loaves should be about the same thickness. It doesn't matter the length, it's the thickness.
right.
little crack when you bake them, and that's okay. So these guys are ready to go in the oven. It's not sticking to my hands. What? Oh.
Go ahead.
Talk about your thirds.
So
We're a little lopsided
we're a
on
little
the thirds.
lopsided on the thirds. So this one's a little bit thicker than the other two.
So the only
we just-
thing I would do is maybe put this guy in the middle of the pan.
Oh yeah, because the ends will cook faster than the middle. Yep, that makes sense.
You could re-roll this guy if you wanted to, but I think he's fine. He's good. He's good.
Yep. Which I think I've already done a video of.
Okay, so it's lightly brown, split, they split a little bit.
They always split.
So we're gonna go.
Yeah. So if it bounces back, chances are it's going to be cooked inside. The big one is the one. Yeah, they're all doing good.
And that was 20 minutes, right?
Yes. Well, yeah. And you can see they're lightly brown, and they're
By
getting
bounce
real
back,
brown.
what do you mean?
So if you push this and it doesn't come back, it means the dough inside is not cooked. And it'll stay indented. And you don't want that.
And because this came back, it
springs
doesn't
back.
dent.
Yeah. And as you can see, it's okay to have a crack in it.
Biscuits.
Sometimes, on this one, it cracked on the top. It's all good. So we're gonna put the second batch in and let these guys completely cool.
So,
Which I think is one of
Which I have a problem with.
Can you control the
I think
splitting
I
if
do
you
too.
score it down the top or
You don't
something?
want to do that, Mike. It gets them, this is what gives them their characteristics.
so what is the setting on the oven, and is it convection or regular bake?
This is convection and it's 375.
18 minutes on convection bake, 375.
375.
Looks beautiful, girls.
We've done it 350. Have they taken? They don't take any. Haven't taken any.
Okay, girls, come on up here and tell us what you're saying.
So they can range from an 18 minute to a 22, 23 minute bake depending on the loaves.
And the
And your oven.
convection bake or regular bake, either one are
Either
fine.
one are fine, they'll both work. So these are cool. We're gonna cut them at a slight angle using a really small serrated knife. The cheese knife will work. This is a tomato knife. And you don't have to cut them this way, but then they look really pretty when you lay them out on a platter. And they're about, I would say like a half inch. So it's important to let the knife do the work. Don't try to muscle these, otherwise you'll break the cookie. They don't spread, so you can crowd your pan and then they go in the oven for about 6 to 8 minutes.
At
For
what
each
setting?
side. 375 for each side.
So at the 7 to 8 minutes, out they come,
You
flip
flip
them,
over and you put 'em
7 to
back.
8 minutes.
Yeah, this is good. I would. You can see how the yellow part from where it wasn't cooked all the way is starting to dissipate. So this is when I start toasting. Okay, Kathy, what were you pointing out? So if they're not cooked all the way, they're going to look smooth on the inside where they weren't cooked all the way, and they're going to look more bread-like on the outside. And that's what you're desired. You want them to look more bread-like on like your outside rim, but they'll be
Come on,
cooked.
this first row.
As you can see, this dark area means it's not. The loaf wasn't cooked all the way because we're toasting it both sides. This will dissipate and go away once we're done toasting it. So what's your? Oh, that's hot.
Oh,
Look
those
for
are
us
beautiful.
how brown they are around the corners there.
Those are beautiful. We already flipped them, didn't we?
You don't want them too brown around the edges here, but that's just, these are almost perfect. Yeah.
Good job, girls and guys.
Oh, they smell good.
Oh, yeah.
Our
Very good.
finished product.